Hey guys, we're Rebellion 95, recording live from the Love County Prison Cell, finally. And yeah, I'm doing a regular episode here. I'm not doing a prediction video, I'm doing just a regular thing that I saw and I'm gonna, go ahead and make a video of, which is stating the obvious, I suppose. And yeah, this one is one that I saw it somewhere and I thought, it's cool, maybe I'll look into it. And then I've been thinking about it for the last like week, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta do this. So, this is Legoshi I think I always thought it was Legoshi, like Bella Legoshi, but I guess it's Legoshi because there's an H in it, as far as I'm aware. Legoshi from Beastars and Edward Cullen from Twilight. The theme here being predators and prey. Lion falls in love with the lamb. Love conquering emotion or love conquering instincts and whatnot, right? So, um, for the record, I don't know either of these series particularly well. I think I've been in the room when the first Twilight movie was on, when somebody else was watching it, and I've seen some Beastars, but that's about it. So I had to look up most of this. So, starting with Legoshi. So, in Beastars, it's a world of anthropomorphized animals who have formed a civilization, and carnivores and non-carnivores are kind of separated into different classes, and there's like an attempt to kind of converge them, unify them, but it's like any class system, it doesn't exactly go well. So Legoshi is a anthropomorphized wolf who again was born into this system, and he's kind of a timid regular high school wolf, uh, who is, I think he's part of the drama club or something, and until he falls in love with a rabbit, right? Wolf falls in love with a rabbit, and from then on he gets into a shit ton of fights for no particular reason. Um, Legoshi also happens to be an expert martial artist, right? He happens to be very. He's considered one of the strongest of the carnivores in his class, at least. And for a point of reference, weaker carnivores than Legoshi have accidentally torn the limbs off of others. So, what this guy's capable of doing, you might think he's punched through walls and stuff, or at least put dents in walls before. So he's a very strong guy. He's also fought considerably stronger creatures, or creatures that would be considered incredibly strong due to the Beastars world, like a Riz, who is a bear person, and bears are so strong in the Beastars world that they literally have to take government mandated supplements to suppress their strength and their like natural urges, and their to suppress like their predatory instincts, whereas all the other predators are expected to just kind of do it themselves. And what was the other guy's name? He fought a Komodo dragon once, and Komodo dragons are fucking OP in Beastars. They regenerate, and their skin's armored, and they have venom that like eats through concrete and stuff. So that's yeah. So you've got a character that's superhumanly strong, superhumanly, is a martial artist, superhumanly fast, right? Has superhuman senses. He's been able to identify people just by smell, right? He's been able to actually like solve crimes just on smell. If he wasn't enough, I was gonna do Legoshi and Big B Wolf, but yeah, it's neither here nor there. Um, and yeah, what else was it? Yeah, but one thing about the Predators in Beastar is that they do try to suppress their natural instincts, but sometimes that doesn't work out, and they've been known to kind of go into like a feral sort of rage sometimes. Um, Usually when it's like their life is dependent on it, or they get too emotional during a fight, and this has happened to Legoshi before. However, Legoshi also did go through some specialized training. See, turns out he's actually a hybrid creature because his grandfather was, in fact, plot twist, a Komodo dragon, which is part of what makes him so strong, but also it makes him immune to Komodo dragon venom, and it, gives him like semi more durable skin. But in order to train himself or get trained by his grandpa, he actually had to put a muzzle on and train with meat all surrounding him so that he could control his urges and everything. But what this also did is it transferred the strength from his jaw to his arms, which gave him like incredible, like punching power. Not sure how that works exactly. I mean, if we were going to take the regular schematics of a wolf, I mean, like, the strongest wolf bite ever recorded, and again, I had to look this up, I'm not going to pretend like I know this offhand, but the strongest wolf bite ever recorded is around 400 pounds per square inch. Hypothetically, just based off of the structure of the jawbone and the strength of the inherent, the muscles in the jaw of a wolf, in theory, a wolf could bite with the force of over 1,000 pounds per square inch. It's just never been recorded. But even transferring that to like striking power is not a significant like increase. A human boxer boxes with less than 1,000 pounds per square inch. So, like, it's not really that big of a deal. But for Legoshi, it turned him borderline superhuman. And another thing that makes him even more so superhuman is something that happened in his fight with Riz, where he, after eating meat, despite suppressing his urge to eat meat his entire life, eating meat does actually give him superhuman strength. To the point where he was able to, like, borderline overpower Riz after getting his, ass kicked in that fight before, and in fights before that. And you can't really scale these guys to animals because, like, they're anthropomorphic and obviously there's more going on. But when you get into it, like, the difference in strength between a wolf and a bear is multitudes of times over. So for him to overcome that with a power up means he's getting umpteen times stronger. But that's not even his really most ridiculous feat. I mentioned he had his super speed, and we do see him like dodging bullets at point blank range. But even on the durability aspect of it, the dude has taken several like grenade blasts and gotten up. There's even some theories that he escaped the grenade blasts, but that's never really been proven. But if that were the case, that would put him at like almost light speed, because, or at least speed of sound if he's running away from an explosion. If you could make the argument that there were these tail grenades that were on a timer and they were at 0, and he threw the tails back at the Komodo dragons who threw them at him, meaning that he separated the grenades from the tails. So that's where the argument that he ran away, he dodged the explosion was. Well, for him to do that, he would have to, in the time before the electricity sent the signal to detonate the grenade, would have to remove the grenades from the tails and dodge an explosion, which would put him at like probably over light speed. But let's just low that. Let's just put that down and say he's dodging bullets. If we can add that explosion feat to durability, then if he's surviving several grenade blasts, and also in his fight with Riz was unable to bite through his bones, despite a regular bear can bite through human bones, let alone wolf bones. So for Riz, an anthropomorphic, super strong bear, to not be able to do it means his bone density would have had to have been superhumanly increased as well. So, this is a crazy fight. Edward Cullin. So Edward Cullin was born in what, like it was like the 1910s, 1920s or something, where he died. He got better. He died from Spanish influenza and was, turned into a vampire by someone of the name Cullin, which is why he takes on their name. He becomes part of their I don't know, what do you call it? Tribe, pack, whatever you want to call it. Now, vampires, as it's been a constant sort of source of criticism for the series, vampires in the Twilight universe follow very different rules than regular vampires. They can still eat garlic, they can go out in the sun, crosses don't bother them. The one thing, though, is that with sunlight, their skin glows, which is, cool. They sparkle. But other than that, they still drink blood. And they're all superhuman. Edward has been stated that he's not the strongest of these vampires, but he's still able to like rip off limbs and decapitate people with a punch, basically, or a claw swipe. They have claws. But he is, however, by far the fastest. He's been able to run through vast forests in a matter of seconds. He's actually, while carrying somebody, ran from one city to a completely different city, like 20 miles away in a matter of minutes, which I think puts him at like 100 miles an hour. I looked that up. Again, I'm not gonna pretend like I knew that. Yes, the guy is superhumanly fast, and like I said, he is capable of decapitating and ripping people's arms out. Another ability of his is that he's able to read minds, but it's not just like focus in on somebody. He's inherently reading minds. Like, if you're ever near him, he reads your mind, like, just without trying to. He compares it to, being in a loud room where he can kind of just focus on who he's talking to or whose mind he's reading. But it is implied that the more he knows somebody, the more, the less he doesn't have to get as close to them. He can only really read minds in like close proximity. But other than that, like I said, he's 100-something years old, so he's got we don't know how much of that is fighting experience per se, but he has graduated high school, I think, like 40 times or something. He does not drink blood, but he's not weakened by the drinking of blood because he can't digest human food, but it does still give him strength to a degree. Like, he compares it to eating dirt or like tofu, where he's never really satisfied. It doesn't fill him up. There's a lot of metaphors in this show. Not show, movies, books, whatever. But yeah, so definitely he's a vampire. It's not really much I know I said he's different from other vampires, but he's not really. He's a vampire. But yeah, getting into it, who do I think is going to win between Legoshi and Edward? So, on paper, it looks like Edward has the advantage here, because, like, I do think he's definitely stronger than Legoshi, at first glance. Because, like I said, Legoshi, they've accidentally, like, weaker characters than Legoshi have ripped off somebody's arm, but Edward, or at least other vampires in Twilight, have ripped off the arms of other vampires who are also superhuman. So the vampires in this world have to be, like, incredibly strong then. So that would just, scaling's a little weird, but you could, because they says he's not the strongest, but he is the fastest. Um, but still, we have seen him decapitate people by just swiping their head off. So, or decapitate other vampires rather by just swiping their head off. And we've seen him fight werewolves, which is kind of fitting for this. So, we do know he's at least somewhat in the same ballpark. So, if he can rip the arms off of somebody who's superhuman versus ripping the arms, and I guess you could argue that all the characters in Beastars are also superhuman, but it's not predators ripping the arms off predators, it's predators ripping the arms off of prey. So that's more comparable to a vampire versus a human than a vampire versus a vampire. But then you consider Legoshi's, if Legoshi eats meat. So once he does that, which again would probably just be him biting a chunk out of Edward, once that happens, I think he's pretty much Legoshi's stronger than him. Because like I said, that's like a multiplier. Whereas, there's somewhat similar feats happening between these two characters in terms of strength. In terms of durability, I mean, yeah, being a vampire makes Edward a lot more, just a lot stronger in general, but, he's ripped branches off of trees and whatnot, and, and I think he's taken, bats to the head or something, but he's not, pretty much another similarly strong character can hurt him as if somebody else was hitting him. It's kind of like a Superman thing where if they're as strong as him, they can hurt him. So, durability, I'd say Legoshi has that as well, and you would think Edward for speed, but then you remember that, oh yeah, Legoshi can dodge bullets, even if we don't subscribe to that theory of, dodging the grenade explosions, he's still dodged bullets, you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's kind of automatically faster than 100 miles an hour running. So the biggest advantage Edward would have in this case would be reading minds, but even in that scenario, Legoshi, I mean, there's a chance that doesn't work. Because first of all, if your opponent's that much faster than you, reading their mind's not going to give you much chance to react to anything, but I guess it's better than nothing. But if Legoshi, kind of goes feral and, lets his instincts take over, it's not going to help you to read his mind because he's not going to be thinking about anything he's doing. Even though that's not like a guarantee, and Legoshi has been trained specifically not to do that, that is kind of a scenario that I guess could happen. But reading Legoshi's mind when he's that much stronger and that much faster than Edward, I don't think it's going to give him any real advantage here. So, yeah, if you couldn't tell, I'm giving this to Legoshi here. Yeah, but I mean, this would be a kind of a cool fight to see. I mean, I did really like Saberwolf and John Talbane, so I don't think this is too different from that. Not that it's not too different, but this has that same sort of vibe of conquering the beasts inside you and all that. So, yeah. And I mean, it's the only way we're gonna get any characters from these two properties in here. So, yeah, Purple Engine 95. See ya.